Jobs are disappearing exactly where families can least afford it. The paycheck hits, but rent, insurance, and groceries are already waiting. Factories dim their lights, offices stay half empty, and savings drain faster than a gas tank on the highway. This isn't a dip, it's a stress test for the entire nation. In this video, we're counting down the 10 states where layoffs are piling up, costs are crushing households, and security is slipping away. No long warm-ups, no filler, just a hard look at what's really breaking. Hollowed out downtowns, housing bills that feel like mortgages on steroids, and insurance premiums that rival a second rent. Stay tuned, because the difference between "we'll be fine" and "how do we survive this month" is smaller than you think. And what you'll hear at number 1 could completely change how you see the year ahead. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve with stories that matter, make sure to hit subscribe. It helps you, and it helps us keep digging deeper. Number 10, Oregon. The Pacific Northwest once sold the dream. Green forests, mountain rivers, Portland coffee culture, and endless creativity. But in 2025, that dream is breaking down. Oregon's unemployment hovers close to 6%, leaving more than 150,000 people without steady work. Factories in Salem fall silent, Portland's tech startups slash entire teams, and even tourism, worth billions a year, shrinks as Americans cut back on travel and leisure. For families, the math doesn't add up. Rents in Portland push past $1,800, while unemployment checks rarely cover half. Homes average $500,000, and at today's interest rates, that's a $3,400 mortgage before groceries or utilities. Add Oregon's nearly 10% income tax, one of the steepest in the nation, and the paycheck is gone before it even hits the account. Everyday life is squeezing harder. Grocery runs feel like luxury spending, crime ticks up in Portland, and homelessness grows more visible on city streets. Even the quirky coffee shops and local spots that defined Oregon are closing their doors. Families are packing up, heading east toward Idaho or down to Texas, chasing lower costs and better job markets. Small towns thin out, schools cut budgets, and the state's once vibrant brand of freedom and creativity now collides with boarded storefronts and vanishing opportunities. But Oregon's struggle is just the beginning. What happens when America's industrial heartland runs headfirst into the future? Number 9, Michigan. Picture a state that built America's cars, then imagine the factory floor thinning overnight. That's Michigan in 2025. Ford, GM, and Stellantis have all restructured, cutting thousands of shifts as automation takes over. Electric vehicles promised renewal, but leaner production lines mean fewer jobs, not more. The result? More than 250,000 residents sidelined and an unemployment rate pushing past 5.5%. Families here feel the squeeze from every angle. In Detroit, the median household income sits below $40,000, but rents are climbing past $1,200. Property taxes weigh heavily, especially in struggling cities like Flint, where bills rise even as home values lag. Add in crumbling roads, strained schools, and the lingering shadow of water crises, and communities are stretched to their limits. Migration tells the story too. Nearly 40,000 people have left Michigan in just 2 years, many chasing cheaper costs and sunnier job markets in the South. Those who stay juggle car payments, utilities, and grocery bills that devour wages, while boarded up homes and shuttered plants become the backdrop of daily life. And if Michigan shows what happens when an old industry fades, the next state reveals the cracks in an economy built on neon lights and tourists. Number 8, Nevada. Step off the Las Vegas Strip and the illusion fades quickly. Beyond the casinos and neon glow, Nevada is battling one of the toughest job markets in the country. Tourism makes up nearly a third of the state's economy, but hotel layoffs, thinning casino staff, and a slowdown in conventions have sidelined more than 90,000 workers. An unemployment rate near 6% shows just how fragile the system is when visitors stop spending. Daily life is no jackpot either. Average home prices in Vegas hover around $430,000, and with 7% mortgages, monthly payments soar past $3,000. Renters don't fare much better, with costs topping $1,600, while unemployment checks barely cover half. Add in rising HOA fees, steep property taxes, and insurance premiums that now swallow over $2,500 a year, and Nevada's low tax promise rings hollow. Rural towns outside Vegas are hurting most, as young people leave for Arizona and Texas, while older residents face food insecurity and $5 gas for long commutes. Crime and scams creep upward as desperation spreads, leaving even longtime locals on edge. Behind the shimmering skyline, many families are living on borrowed time and borrowed money. And if Nevada shows what happens when tourism stumbles, the next stop proves that even the nation's capital can't escape the fallout. Number 7, Washington, D.C. In the nation's capital, power doesn't guarantee protection. Washington, D.C. currently posts the highest unemployment rate in the country, with thousands of federal jobs cut in 2025 and contractors losing work overnight. For many, decades of service ended with a single notice that their position was no longer essential. Living here is brutally expensive. A one-bedroom averages $2,300. Childcare rivals the cost of a second rent, and even households earning close to 6 figures find their budgets collapsing under taxes, health premiums, and $400 grocery runs. Add in rising crime, carjackings and robberies climbing each year, and residents are paying more just to feel safe. The city itself looks different. Downtown offices remain half empty, restaurants that survived the pandemic are shuttering, and Metro Transit struggles with delays and fare hikes. The White House might glow on camera, but only blocks away job fairs fill up, small businesses vanish, and neighborhoods lose their edge of stability. And if DC shows what happens when federal cuts strike at the core, the next state proves that relying on government payrolls can backfire even harder. Number 6, Maryland. For decades, Maryland thrived on its proximity to Washington, D.C. Thousands of residents worked in federal agencies, defense firms, or the services built around them. But when budget cuts slash 15,000 federal positions in a single year, the ripple doesn't stop at the Potomac. Engineers, contractors, and even janitorial staff are suddenly without steady income, pushing the state's unemployment rate above 5%. The financial squeeze is merciless. In Montgomery County, the median home price tops $500,000 to $40,000, translating into mortgage payments north of $3,600 at current interest rates. Statewide, rent averages around $1,900. Families laid off from stable $90,000 jobs are discovering that unemployment checks barely dent those bills. Add Maryland's steep county income taxes, climbing close to 9%, and paychecks disappear almost instantly. Groceries cost more, gas in Baltimore stays above $4, and savings drain at a pace that feels impossible to stop. Crime and poverty deepen in Baltimore, while smaller towns lose businesses and schools prepare for budget cuts as revenues shrink. For middle-class families, what once felt steady now feels fragile, and the safety net looks thinner by the day. And if Maryland shows the risk of tying your future to government spending, the next state proves that even military towns and defense hubs aren't safe when the money dries up. Number 5, Virginia. Virginia has long balanced on the strength of defense contracts, federal agencies, and military bases. But in 2025, those very anchors are shaking loose. Budget cuts are wiping out thousands of contracting jobs in Northern Virginia, while warnings of even deeper reductions loom. Down south, Norfolk's shipyards, once reliable providers of high-paying skilled trade jobs, are scaling back, leaving families that counted on $70,000 salaries scrambling for alternatives. The cost of living makes the hit even harsher. The median home price sits around $420,000, rents average $1,800, and daycare can swallow more than $1,500 a month. Add steep property taxes in Fairfax County and insurance premiums that creep higher each year, and even steady households watch their budgets unravel fast. The ripple spreads further than the job market. Downtown Alexandria, once buzzing, now faces restaurant closures and half-empty office space. Universities announce shortfalls, raising fears of tuition hikes that will stack even more debt onto students. Military families, already stretched thin, are quietly relocating to states where costs are lower and futures feel more secure. And if Virginia reveals the danger of dependence on federal dollars, the next state highlights how crushing taxes and soaring costs can push entire communities toward the exit. Number 4, New Jersey. Few states capture the squeeze of 2025 like New Jersey. Pharma labs in New Brunswick trim research teams, shipping hubs near Newark cut dock crews, and finance roles are pared back as global trade slows. The result is more than 240,000 people out of work and an unemployment rate above 5%. But it's the cost of living that makes layoffs devastating. The median home costs nearly $500,000, while property taxes are the steepest in the entire country, averaging almost $10,000 per household every year. Renters don't escape either. A one-bedroom in Jersey City easily passes $2,400. For families on unemployment checks, the math just doesn't work. Commuters once relied on the New York pipeline, but remote work has drained demand, leaving NJ Transit raising fares while gas hovers around $4 a gallon. Weekly groceries can top $300, and even six-figure households feel broke. No surprise, then, that the population is shrinking as families head for Pennsylvania or Florida in search of relief. Schools lose students, towns lose revenue, and some cities see crime tick up as opportunities dry out. And if New Jersey shows how high taxes and endless bills wear people down, the next state demonstrates what happens when America's most glamorous economy starts to rust from the inside out. Number 3, California. California has always been the land of reinvention, but in 2025, it's reinvention with a steep price tag. Tech firms slash entire departments, movie productions stall, and farms in the Central Valley cut shifts as exports slow. Statewide unemployment has crept above 6%, translating into more than 1 million residents without steady work. Living here while jobless is like trying to climb a cliff with no foothold. The median home still hovers near $780,000, with mortgages passing $5,000 a month. Renters in San Francisco and Los Angeles face $3,000 leases for one-bedrooms, while grocery bills can swallow $350 a week. Gas prices remain the nation's highest, often topping $5.50 per gallon. Add the country's top state income tax rate at over 13%, and even households with good salaries feel strapped. The fallout reshapes the state. Downtown San Francisco sees office vacancy rates near 30%, entire skyscrapers sitting hollow. Hollywood jobs migrate to cheaper states, draining the local economy. And more than 800,000 Californians have left in the past few years, heading for places like Texas, Arizona, and Nevada. The California dream is still alive for some, but for many it's a battle between sunshine and survival. And if California shows the cost of clinging to the dream, the next state reveals what happens when the so-called affordable alternative becomes just as crushing. Number 2, Texas. For years, Texas sold itself as the cheaper, wide-open alternative to California. But in 2025, the shine is wearing off. Energy projects in West Texas stall, rig workers lose $80,000 jobs, and Austin's once booming tech scene is suddenly filled with "for lease" signs as startups fold. Warn notices across industries now total in the tens of thousands, leaving nearly 750,000 Texans without steady work. The cost of living, once the state's biggest draw, is catching up fast. In Austin, the median home price is around $550,000, pushing monthly mortgages toward $3,800 at current rates. Dallas and Houston rents climb past $1,700, while unemployment checks average barely over $500 a week. Add property taxes that often reach $6,000 to $9,000 a year, and insurance premiums topping $4,000 thanks to storm risks, and the affordable life starts to look like a myth. Social strain shows everywhere. Crime in Houston creeps higher, schools burst at the seams, and infrastructure lags behind rapid growth. Traffic in Dallas now robs commuters more than 50 hours a year. Families that moved here for breathing room discover they've traded one set of headaches for another, only this time with bigger bills. And if Texas proves the miracle can crack under its own weight, the number 1 state shows how paradise itself can tip into crisis almost overnight. Number 1, Florida. Florida built its brand on sunshine, no state income tax, and a booming tourism industry. But in 2025, that promise is bending under the pressure. Theme parks in Orlando cut staff as attendance dips, hotels in Miami trim payroll, and cruise companies slash crews. Nearly 600,000 residents are out of work as the unemployment rate pushes past 5%. Even for those still employed, the real storm is financial. Homeowner insurance premiums have exploded, often rivaling a second mortgage with annual costs in the thousands. The median home price hovers near $410,000, translating into monthly mortgage payments close to $2,900 at current rates. Renters aren't safe either. Miami one-bedrooms average $2,700, while Tampa pushes past $1,900. For a household earning the state median of $67,000, it's a math problem that doesn't solve. Layer on top the $4 per gallon gas, grocery bills over $300 a week, and the ever-present risk of hurricanes, and families face a pressure cooker that doesn't cool down. Some are already leaving coastal towns, while small businesses shut their doors in the absence of steady tourism dollars. The image of paradise collides with eviction notices and impossible insurance bills. And when even Florida, the land of endless summers, feels like it's sliding into crisis, it's clear the cracks in America's job market run deeper than just numbers on a chart. From Oregon's shuttered factories to Florida's skyrocketing insurance bills, these 10 states reveal a harsh truth. The American job market isn't just slowing, it's straining under the weight of layoffs, rising costs, and fragile safety nets. Families are juggling paychecks that don't stretch, watching communities hollow out, and making tough choices about whether to stay or move. The bigger picture? No state is truly immune. When industries shift, when housing costs soar, and when paychecks can't keep pace, the ripple spreads everywhere. What we're seeing now isn't just a series of local struggles. It's a stress test for the whole nation. And this is only the beginning. As costs rise and jobs remain uncertain, the question isn't if things will change. It's how far families will have to go just to make the math work. If you want to stay ahead of the curve with more deep dives into the stories shaping America's future, hit that subscribe button right now. It helps you catch the next big shift before it happens, and it helps us keep bringing you the stories that matter most.